Would you rather Home Depot or would you rather Lowe's? And why?
I'm going to go for I would rather Home Depot. And I think the reason is that traditionally they have bigger exposure to the pro business. So if we think about lockdown and what happened, it was all about DIY, and the pro or big projects in your house that require help, like I would require, didn't happen. They weren't canceled. They were pushed forward. So now all of those big ticket, high margin projects are starting to flow in and happen. So perhaps we have not seen the best. And again, Home Depot is a little more exposed to that pro business.
Are they also a little less vulnerable to the need to do promotional things because the retail consumer is coming in no matter what?
And that's the big question here is that, last quarter, Home Depot didn't do their spring sales event and their comps were still up 7.5%. And I think what we're all learning here is that if the consumer really wants something and it's compelling, they're going to pay up for it. So that was certainly helpful for margins. And maybe they left a little bit on the table because Lowe's did have their spring sale and their comps were about 500 basis points better. But I think in the end, investors want to see consistent comp growth and margins intact without giving it away. And if you don't have to give it away, why do it?
Stacey, it's Kelly here. As we talk about retail earnings this season and look beyond the home improvement stores, I think you make an interesting point about what should investors do when kind of the pantry stocking phase of the pandemic ends. And I don't know what we call what comes after. I mean, it's certainly not back to normal.
Yeah, it's a great question, Kelly, because it's the post pantry panic. What do you do now? We know Walmart's been killing it, exposed to food, but now what? So I would look more at a stock like a Target that offers the most compelling private label apparel. Eventually that will come back. They offer incredibly compelling home, which is higher margin, which we saw a shift away from. So when those things recover, that's who you want to own. And you want to own the one-stop shopping guys, again, like a Target who has the food exposure, who has the remodels, and who has the other categories, including school, assuming we go back.
Right. And speaking of back to school, I know that there is some bump in, for example, laptop purchases. I mean, we talked about Best Buy last hour. That's obviously why they're outperforming. But what are the other back-to-school plays this year? Do they exist? And is the non-existence hurting other stocks that would typically benefit this time of year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, again, very much about the one-stop shopping. And, of course, the bigger are getting bigger and crushing small business. It is incredibly expensive right now to operate as a business, cleaning your stores, paying extra staff. So the bigger guys are offering lower prices and holding prices while the smaller are struggling. But I think, again, it's all about comfort, connectivity, and cocooning, home improvement, consumer electronics, toys also, and comfort clothing, and, Lululemon, which has skyrocketed. Think about what they're going to offer. They're transitioning into outdoor wear more than ever. That's a new initiative relative for them, and it's a much higher ticket initiative. So I wouldn't rule them out here, even at this price.
It's the specialty retailers that have a niche that seems to be sustaining them. Is there any reason, Stacey, to buy any of the department store stocks?
I would say no on that one. I think the department store stocks still haven't seen the worst, and here's why. So most of the brands that have reported have basically said that orders from wholesale, meaning department stores, have come to a complete halt. What the brands have also said is that they're going to be looking for alternatives to the department store sales space because they're sick of being thrown under the bus with promotions. So maybe they start to look more at Amazon. We're hearing brands say, you know what, maybe we're going to swap into Amazon from the department store space. So again, Amazon gets bigger, department stores continue to suffer.